I'll never forget the charcoal burners. They had huts in the wood. They used to have to sit virtually on top of their fires to stop it flaring up. Otherwise it burnt the stuff away to ash, and they just didn't have the sticks of charcoal wood which were partial burned.
My dad's family, the Allenbys, were woodmen going back many generations. They worked in many woods all over through the Rusland Valley, and say they were in the wood business all along, and I presume at that time, because I do know that in the late 19th century they were doing charcoal burning. But charcoal burning is not a round the year job. It can only be done at certain times of the year. So at other times of the year they would be doing the other bits of the wood business, bobbing wood and things of that nature.
I remember charcoal burners up in the woods, and they used to go and stay with the pitsteads, and they'd put a soddy up. Try and imagine an Indian wigwam, several sticks in a pointed tent shape. All they used to do was build a small wall, perhaps less than half a metre high, around the base of it, and then they would cut sods or turf and lay up these poles like slates. So they had a good shelter, and a waterproof shelter. And the families would join them on a weekend when they'd attend in the pitsteads, and they'd make the meals there. I have photographs of them sitting there with a kettle and the pans and having a meal.
And it was all hand tools still?
Yeah, it was in that wood at Rusland Heights where he got his first chainsaw, and initially he found it very hard work. In fact, he found it harder than the axe because he just wasn't used to the different types.
And they were heavy, weren't they, to start?
Yeah, they were fairly heavy, but it did eventually make a big difference how much he could cut down in a day, rather than by, other than that, I'd say he had his felling axe was a £7. The trees would be the stump would only be about that far above the ground.
Just a couple of inches, 2, 3.
Or less.
Yeah.
And that was with the axe.
Right. Clean cuts.
Oh yeah. And when we were in that wood, it was where there was a lot of oak in there, and you could go up. He would be peeling the oak, and we'd actually what he called oozed them. He'd actually taken the bark up to about 6 foot.
Right.
With this tree standing, and you actually got the bark from round the bottom as well, which was the thickest and heaviest part of the bark. So you go up there maybe 20 or 30 trees with no bark on. In the 50s, you could see it started, the whole industrial wood business started to die. It was becoming more and more difficult to actually make a living. And by the early 60s, there was only my dad and his brother working. All the others had been laid off, and it got more and more difficult. In the late 60s, the crate wood finished because they started, instead of using wood to make crates for pots for export, they started using steel, plastic covered steel. The ship fenders finished in the late 60s. That was another one gone. Swill wood, basically there was very few swillers left by that time, and so basically the swill wood had gone. Stockport was the last bobbin mill, that closed, bobbin wood gone. So there was very little left. There were still little things like the fishing stakes for the flukber and Baycliff fishermen. There were still besoms. They were still making besoms and sweeping besoms.